Hi, friend. So you're probably curious about the thumbnail, and it's probably why I clicked on this video. And yeah, it's true. I am turning 40, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to feel about it. Um, I turn 40 next year, so I'm officially in my late 30s. And lately, I've just been thinking so much about what does 40 mean? What does 40 look like? What does 40 taste like? What is turning 40 embody, right? And I don't say this in a bad way. I don't say this in a way that is fearful. I very much look forward to turning 40 and embracing midlife. I think that is what 40 is officially considered midlife. So I don't mean this in like a weird, like, oh my God, I'm turning 40, my life is ending kind of way. But more so like, what does being 40 mean in this time, this era, um, with the way the world is going, you know what I mean? And it's funny, I was talking to one of my best friends about this a couple of weeks ago, and she made a really good point. Very similar to how we have money inflation, there's such a thing as age inflation. And she was like, turning 40, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, is not the same as turning 40 now, which is so, so, so true. Um, for example, I've chosen to be child free, and I don't know if a lot of 40-year-olds were child free 20 years ago. I don't know if a lot of people thought that was even an option, right? 20 years ago. And even if they did decide to be child free, I'm sure the consequences for choosing that lifestyle was a lot more dire than it is now, right? Especially if you go online, there's so much child free content out there. Um, and I don't feel 40. I feel young. I feel youthful. I feel zesty, for lack of a better word. Not to say that 40 isn't young, but I think we live in a culture that tells women that if you're above the age of 32, like, you might as well kick the bucket and be 6 feet underground. You know what I mean? We live in a society that tells us that, like, past a certain age, which is a very young age, that your life, who you are, your dreams don't matter anymore. And I think that's quite the opposite, right? That's not what we see in real life. I have a few friends who are turning 40 already, or who are already 40, who are living fabulous lives. And for this year, I want to make it a point to meet more people who are 40 and over and like living fabulous lives, because I too want to keep living a fabulous life. Um, there's so much I want to do in the next couple of years. There's so much I have done. And when I talk about like things I want to do and have done, I don't mean this in like, like accomplishments, like getting degrees and all that stuff, which is like great. I don't mean that in like the typical Black excellent way. When I think about the things that I have accomplished, I think about the things that I have done to get closer and closer to my dream life. So, for example, I've lived abroad before. Will very likely live abroad again, crossing my fingers. Even though right now I'm at a stage in my life where things feel a little bit tricky, things feel a little bit precarious. Um, I lost a job recently, and that can be really hard. And I'm sure I'm not the only person out there. Um, that feels very hard. But when I think about my life, when I think about the fact that like I have great people, I have great friends surrounding me. I have friends all over the world, and I mean that in a literal sense. I have friends everywhere. I have good people everywhere. I have a community surrounding me. Right before I turned on the camera to talk to y'all, I was talking to my friend. Her name is Helese. I'm going to link her channel below too, because she is for the ADHD girlies. And we were just talking about a lot of things, just being really vulnerable and candid with each other. And she was just like, I'm really grateful that like you're in my life, and we're part of like a larger group of Black women who make content online, and that group is amazing. And she was like, I'm really happy that we have all of that. And oh, excuse me. Lately, I've been feeling just really down about myself, and like just feeling like honestly, just feeling really down that I'm not at the place where I want to be at this age, at this big age. And she reminded me that, like, I have love, I have community, I have belonging. So many people struggle with finding friends, making friends, keeping friends, right? We hear about the loneliness epidemic 50, 11 times a day. But I don't have that problem. And I don't say this in like a boastful kind of way, but like I have wonderful people who are able to support me when I don't feel my best, right? Who are able in this time of my life to really pour into me when I don't feel great about a lot of the things that I haven't done, you know? This is the year I told myself that I am going to take myself and my creative endeavors more seriously. Like posting on YouTube, posting on my Substack. I have a Substack linked in the description below if you want to check it out. Um, and I want to take myself seriously and all of my creativity. I don't know if you can see a little bit of my background here, but like I did all of this, and it is actually on my plan to do like a house tour. This piece of artwork, let me try to point to it. Can we see it right here? I made that. That is my first large scale art that I made, and I have so much of my stuff all over my home, and I don't know, I just dismiss myself. I just miss my creativity. I just miss all of the talents that the universe has given me. And I don't think that is the point of having my talent, is for me to be dismissive, right? And I'm sure a lot of you guys out there can relate too. Um, I have some exciting things coming up. One of my friends, speaking of interior design work, hired me to pretty much design her short-term rentals and her place, and she's looking to get some more short-term rentals under her belt, some more properties, and she has commissioned me to design them. And you know, at first I was like, oh yeah, she hired me, whatever. But like, when I really sat there, when I really sit and think about it, I'm like, for her to trust me to design her short term rentals and to design her own home is no small feat. Like, yes, obviously, I have a talent for interior design, I have a talent for color theory and putting things together, making things feel really great. But, like, I don't know, she didn't have to hire me, you know? Um, and I should give myself props for that, right? Like, somebody saw my home, somebody saw my style, somebody saw the way I put things together and trusted me with their money, their time, their future revenue, right? Because we all know, like when you go on Airbnb, you're trying to stay at the nicest one that you can afford, right? And a lot of that perception of niceness comes down to the decor and the way things are put together and all of those great things, right? And I shouldn't take that for granted. Um, and so when I talk about the things that I want to accomplish, I'm just talking about my dream life and what I envision for my dream life. What I envision for my dream life is not being in this country most of the time, if I'm going to be honest. My dream life is friends, family, lovers, new experiences, continuing to expand my worldwide community, living a life of financial independence and ease and comfort, being able to help out my family and friends and not think twice about it because I have the money, right? Being able to invest in myself as a creative and also invest in other people, right? Other creatives who like may not have the capital, may not have the family connections, or may have not gone to the proper school or lived in a proper neighborhood, right? Like I envision myself doing all of those things. And I feel like because I'm not at that point right now, I feel like a little bit of a failure, to be honest. But then I kind of forget all the things that I have accomplished, right? I moved abroad. I have a community abroad. I have community on what, like 3 or 4 continents at this point. Um, I live in a home that I love. I live in a home that reflects me. I am doing creative projects, right? I've always wanted to do interior design, and here I am. Like, a friend hired me to do interior design. I make art. part of my interior design work, I'm actually making some custom pieces for her home. And so, in a lot of ways, I am continuing to live the dream life that I've always wanted. Um, but I think I have this mentality, and maybe you might too. I think sometimes if we feel like something is not going right exactly the way we want it to, then it does not count and it's not valid and we should dismiss it. And it's just like, no, change doesn't happen all at once. Change is incremental. Things happen bit by bit by bit. And the next thing you know, you realize that like your life has changed and you're living the life that you've always envisioned for yourself. And so for me, I'm trying to remember that this is that time for me in my life where like I have my dream life. I know what I want to do. I know that I want to spend a life creating. I know I want to spend a life mentoring people and helping people who do not have the right pedigrees. And slowly but surely, I'm getting there. I think another thing is we often feel like just because something doesn't happen in our timeline, that is not going to happen. And I really do believe things happen in their own time. And I'm trying to hold on to that belief, you know? It's hard. It's hard for me to hold on to that belief sometimes. I have friends who are very successful in their careers. And, you know, me pursuing my creativity, me pursuing my dream life, me saying to myself, I want more. And not more in terms of material things, but more in terms of I want to live the life that I feel like I deserve. I want to live a life of love and community and just being surrounded by great people, traveling to wonderful places, learning more languages, um, meeting more people, getting to know more and more about like this big, beautiful, vast, complicated world that we live in. And yeah, I don't know. That's what I really want that for myself. I want a life where I'm creating, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm loving on people, being loved on myself. That is my dream life. My dream life isn't you know, live in a mansion with CCTVs everywhere, and like not be among my people. Living a life of joy, of true, real, unadulterated joy. That is what I consider my dream life. And I think because I'm in a place right now where like things are not quite happening as quickly as I want them to, I can't imagine that for myself, but I'm trying to keep hope alive, for lack of a better word. I picked up this book. I'm sure you guys may be familiar with this book. It's called A Renaissance of Our Own. And I just read like the front jacket, and Rachel Cargyle talks about like just reimagining what she wanted for her life and how she wanted something different, and she fought for that. And I'm hoping that this kind of gives me a little juice or inspiration to just continue to tell myself that like I really want to I see the life that I want for myself. I'm very clear on the vision. And to just know that just because it's not happening right now in the way that I want it to happen does not mean that it will never happen. Um I don't know what kind of steps I'm going to take in the future to get there, you know. Today is I'm filming this video February 1st, so you know, we have 11 more months of this year. I'm trying to figure that out, and I'm trying to remember that no matter what happens, I will get the dream life that I want. You will get the dream life that you want. Um, and that all of this imagining and reimagining that I'm doing is not for nothing. You know what I mean? Um, I want to talk about some of the things that I wrote down. I am a notes girly. I have lots of thoughts and I need to like write them down somewhere. And I always don't have a notebook. So I just kind of write stuff here. Um, so there are a lot of things that I don't know about turning 40, but there are some things that I do know, some things that I've noticed about myself, some personal changes that I've noticed that I would love to share with y'all here. Um, what I do know about turning 40 soon, and when I mean soon, I mean next year. I don't know if I explained that already, that I'm turning 40 next year, but maybe I did. But you know, if y'all heard that already, then you know, y'all gonna hear it again. But what I know is I've gotten better at deciphering whether my thoughts are my own or their societal expectations. So, AKA, I've gotten better at deciphering whether I'm supposed to believe this because this is what I've been told, or if this is my personal truth based on my lived experiences. And that's something that I've really held on to. Um, I started questioning things a lot more in my 30s, and now that I am very close to 40's door. I've noticed that a lot of my personal beliefs have changed because I realized that a lot of the things that I thought about weren't my original thoughts. They were things that I was told I had to I had to think, and I really didn't. Like my mind is my own. I control my mind. Other people don't. Um, what I know about turning 40 is that I am more confident and self assured and also more graceful. I know who I am as a person, but I'm also open to change. I'm open to learning facets about myself and facets about the world, whether that's good or bad. Earlier when I talked about, I have this attitude where, like, if I don't get things done the way I want to, like, I just don't do it. That is something that I recently, like, found out about myself like a few months ago. And I was like, wow, like that whole mentality has really held me back from just like doing shit. You know what I mean? Can I curse? I don't know if I have time to bleep that part. But um yeah, like I could just do the thing. And I think because I come from a culture and a background where like perfection is the standard, even at my big age, I still very much feel like, okay, I got to do this perfect or it's not going to get done at all. And it's just like very few things, if at all, require that kind of rigidity. You know what I mean? Um, Another thing I know about turning 40, I've gotten more comfortable expressing my emotions and being more vulnerable with others. This is something that I know that I will always have to work on. From a very young age, I learned that being vulnerable was not a good thing, and was a thing that people can use. Um, I don't want to say people can use against you, which yeah, they have. Um, but I don't know. Vulnerability makes you feel really raw, and I've kind of just like shied away from those feelings. And the other day I have a good friend who lives here, and I just moved to the DMV about a year and a half ago. It'd be 2 years in a few months. And I met a girl, and she's my first friend here, and we're still really good friends. And I found out that she may be moving, and I cried while we were on FaceTime. I shed tears, and I don't think I would have allowed myself to do that a few years ago. I think a few years ago I would have just been like, okay, well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You know what I mean? Like you meet people, people come, people go. I have come, I have gone, right, in and out of people's lives. Um, Also, can we get into this golden hour light? Ooh, okay. There is nothing like melanated skin during golden hour. I just want to say that, but let's get back to the video. um, the last thing I know about turning 40 is that I am becoming more and more okay with the softness I have on the inside showing outside more. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not one of those people that are like, oh my God, I'm independent. I don't need somebody to take care of me. No, I'm dependent. Okay. I like community. I like people to take care of me. I like to take care of others. I am a softie. I tell people my heart is made out of marshmallows and cotton candy. I am a sensitive being. And I'm becoming more comfortable with just showing that sensitivity and softness on the outside and not always, having to feign. Is it feign or fiend? Fiend? Feign? Nonchalant. I don't want to say nonchalantness. Maybe it is nonchalantness, or just kind of just pretending that things are don't affect me, or like not even that, but also just like if I'm really joyful about something, that it is okay for me to be really fucking joyful about it and show it. I don't have to live my life in this sort of grayscale when it comes to my emotions. Like I should and could live my life in more emotional color. And I'm trying to get more comfortable with showing that color, showing that vibrancy, showing that softness on the outside, and just letting my emotions show a little bit more, because I feel like that gives permission for other people as well. If you are under 40, let me know in the comments below, like, what are some things you think about? If you have thought about turning 40, what are some things you think about as you think about growing older? And if you are 40 and above, if you are a grown woman, tap in the comments below and let me know what are some of the great things about turning 40 and above. Like, give me all the things. I really want to know. I really want to know what to look forward to in this next chapter of my life. All right, guys. Till next time. Love you. Take care. See you soon. I'm about to enjoy this golden hour light. Bye.